Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Last week was exciting. I had thought that all three of the indices would potentially close red. Check, check, check. I thought that precious metals would be green, gold and silver. Check, check. But I also thought that oil would potentially close red. Uncheck. So just for a bit of time, I did think that I had the sexfecta going on. Is that a word? I don't know. I did think about that, but ultimately oil ended in the green. So what is going to happen this week? Well, I am not completely convinced that the dip is done dipping. We will have to see, but I'm also not convinced that the rip is done ripping in general. So I have levels that I'm watching to sell and buy. And I did start picking stocks last week. I think I'm looking more to look at individual names that I think are undervalued and go with them over the indices in general, at least right now. So let's talk charts. You ready? Whoop. All right. Okay. So let's start off by looking at ES or SPX weekly futures. So, if you've been watching my channel, my updates for the last couple of weeks, you know that I've been talking about the fact that whenever we've had these red weeks with no tail, so to speak, the next week just gets snapped up pretty much since they started injecting all of this liquidity from the pandemic. But that pattern changed just like we thought it would. I'd like to think it's because we got over and then below this pink line, which is super important. Talked about it a lot. And it's sort of a fakey breaky. And whenever a fakey breaky happens, then usually there is a significant amount of downwards pressure after that. So the reason I'm uncertain about this week is even though I think we will get a flush, potentially all the way down to this purple line, I don't know if it'll happen next week or not, but we did close right on RSI support, which makes me think that it could be that we have sort of a chop week where, the days go, red, green, that kind of thing, just to get everybody all wound up about something, to get all the bears slathered up, to get all the bulls. I just think it might be a week where they attempt to screw everybody, but we'll see. This, even though Friday was super bullish looking buying, we still didn't close significantly above the 20 MA, which sort of gives me pause and makes me think that some of these levels will get back tested. But in the short term, on the weekly side of things, I will sell the F out of this pink line should we see it. I don't know that we will, but should we see it, I'm going to sell it. And I will buy the F out of just slightly below this purple line, which would happen to correspond, I don't know, with the 50 MA. So if we get there, I'm going to buy it. So those are the most certain things that I can tell you. I might share some more stuff on Twitter depending on how the week pans out. But I would expect this 4318, because it has been defended so much before, I would expect it to show some resilience there. However, if we get below it for any period of time, then potentially we might be going all the way down to this previous measured move and below. So that's 4318 is really what I'm watching as a key bull bear line for this week. And then above 4380 and potentially I don't know that we're going all the way up here because this buying has really slowed, right? Like in general, we're just not snapping it up. Remember I had said that I didn't think that this past week would turn out like this, I just think buying is slow, at least for now. So maybe they're just cooling your jets. Maybe we get a time correction as opposed to a huge price correction. But if it does dip down here, I'm going to buy it. So level to level this week on ES. Let me look at the daily. Okay. So we do have a gap here. So remember the day closed here. It opened up here, but we didn't close this gap. So we do have a gap here at 4251 to 4252-ish. I would really like that to get closed. The OCD in me says, please please close it. And then I see double support here at 4239 if we do get there on Sunday/Monday. So that might be good for a scalp up. But then below that, below these pink lines that I do expect, at least this bottom one, to show some bounciness off of, the next level of support here that's very strong, at least horizontally, is 4179. And then below that, all the way down to this line, which is pretty much corresponding with this support. So we'll be watching that in the event of a dump. Let's look at Nasdaq. Okay. So overall, this is weekly Nasdaq. Overall, we've been using this pink line to guide us and let us know when there's a breakout. I mean, it's been perfect so far. We did bounce off of this breakout. We did back test and then bounce off of it last week. We ended, Nasdaq ended actually a little more bullishness looking because it closed more above the 20 MA. So another back test of that line would be 14,589. But as far as scary goes, it didn't get even to the bottom of the channel, which is 14,405 this next week. And look, bottom of the channel, bottom of the channel. Now it's had huge bounces off of that so far. So this will be interesting. My money is on that if we get to the bottom of the channel, maybe it might bounce there, but I would potentially want it to get a little bit lower just to give drama and intrigue. Now, if it closes the week below 14,405, rut-row, because then we're going to have to take the height of this channel and add it to where we broke down from, and that would be then a measured move somewhere in this area, probably right here, because my lines are great. Yeah, well, we'll have to see. So looking short term for potentially a bottom of the channel back test, below that 14,153, and then below that, whoa. Okay, and if we look at the daily, we had a pretty good, initially we had back tested off of the 20 MA of the weekly. That was a really good place to take a scalp at the very least, but it looked a little too cute to me. In other words, things that bounce perfectly off of an MA that everybody's watching, and then everybody's like, oh, okay, we're safe, are never safe. They're too cute. Like usually we'll come back and like just at least scare people just a little bit. However, because the scares happened overnight, anyway, this is what I'm watching from the daily perspective. The bottom of this channel is 14,579. That would be a higher low if we were to back test it. If we get much lower than the other low, well, then we better get back above here, or we're going to this down here, I think. I don't know. But let's see what happens. I'm watching everything, and I will let you know if I see anything that's very actionable and high probability on Twitter. So these are my pivots for Sunday night/Monday. On the really super bullish side, if 14,709 holds, then yay, we're probably going to back test this next MA up, which is around the 15,000 area. And then I would expect more drama, but we'll see. Okay, now let's look at RTY. This is the most bullish of all the indices because it's got the biggest bounce, so to speak, associated with it. However, it's still triangulating. There's no breakout here. It tried to fake us out earlier in the week, and then it tried to fake us out later in the week. And then I just don't know how y'all trade this right now because this is a disaster. Except for somebody said, yeah, we actually play both sides, Julia. We basically take both positions and then we just take profit on one and we wait for the other and then we take profit on the other. Genius. I can't do that, but genius. Anyway, these are the pivots I'm watching for this week. A breakout to the upside would be 2280. A breakdown would be if it gets below 2211.4 for any period of time, I mean a lot below that, let's just say this last one, 2172, then that's bad. I think it's bad. I think it's bad short term. But I mean, this looks to be very bullish. So it wouldn't surprise me to have like a mixed bag of indices next week. Maybe have this one turn green and the other one red. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, so I had talked about potentially this being a flag. I removed it because I noodled on it some more. I looked at it and I was like, it's a channel, but I don't think it's a flag because the pole is all like droopy. So the measured move from this, which I calculated based on the height of this channel, and then I moved it to where we broke out from, is pretty much exactly this 51515 line, which I already had drawn in. So if we get a close now above the key of 48480.8, then I would expect it to go to this line again, 51515, which might be a higher, or sorry, a lower high. I don't know, but let's see what happens. So far, the key is squashing it back down, although there is some upwards progress. Maybe it'll back test this neckline and it'll be an inverse head and shoulders next. I don't know. Maybe that would make sense, right? That would make sense, but let's see. So level to level on this. If it gets back below this neckline of 44300, I think it is going to go to this ambulance line, I think. I mean, if it closes below there and not in a way that's looking like it's head and shouldery. Okay. Okay. I think that's clear. I don't know. Let's look at GDX. Okay. So this is not at all bullish looking, just looking at the chart here, but the downward momentum is slowing. Oh, that's like I'm losing less money, so yay. No, I mean, so we did have, even though this was such a crap week the week before, I did think gold and silver were going to have green weeks, and they did. And this is a less crap week, so maybe, just maybe, we might close next week in GDX above this week. I think we will, because I think that momentum will continue. In the short term, if it can get above 30.85 or 31.27, that 31.27 is really, that's where all the money's at, because we back tested it on that Fed day and then nah, and then we came down. So maybe if we can get back above 31.27, then that will start the momentum actually going in the other direction and not just slowing down in the downward direction. But I do think that potentially we could have a green week this week. I think so. I don't know, but I think so. Let's look at gold. Okay, so gold last week looks pretty good here. I mean, is it the most beautiful candle I've ever seen? No, but it is indicative of potentially the downward momentum having come to a change. And so for this week, I am watching 1747 on the weekly time frame, which corresponds to this 4-hour time frame where I've been talking about a good place to buy for gold right in here. And it's really, though, only bullish if we can get above this 1788.9, which corresponds with this other line as well. But we need a breakout from 1759. We need a breakout from 1759.4, and we need some upwards momentum, of course, before we can get to this key line and then show progress. We are still, even though this is lumpy bumpy kind of shoulder, we're still on we're still on target here, but we do, if we get down to the 1744 area right here, we do need to bounce. So I'm not going to like it much at all if it tries to get below this last week's low. It's going to look a little dire at that time. I'm not going to like it at all. So hopefully it can stay within the confines of my chicken scratch shoulder moving forward. Okay, let's look at silver. All right, so this is weekly silver. Same thing with gold. We did have some downwards momentum, but then people started buying it. What? And when I drew in my RSI support, it bounced right off of that, although not a lot. So now let's get going, silver. In order for me to really start to feel bullish about it, it's got to get back above this 23.65 level. And that would, again, right now we're below all the MAs on the weekly. So even though it looks kind of, because we're below the MAs, I do have some confidence that it will try to make a run for it this week. But let's see. I could certainly be wrong. All right, let's look at oil. Okay, so this is oil weekly over here. I had it read for just some period of time. I was like, oh, hold it, and it just zipped up in the day. But anyway, we're very, very close to this 76.9 area, which let me just make this big here. This is oil. So 76.9, this pink dashed line has just been an area over and over again. But you can see it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's been over and over again an area where there's been some, either support or resistance. So this time we're we're sort of testing it again, but I think that the sentiment is so bullish on at least what I've been seeing. Like, I don't see anybody going out, oil's flying down, except for me. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I think if it does get above 76.9, the measured move actually from this channel it broke out of is 78.22. So if it gets to 78.22, it turns back around and gets below 76.9. That is, I think, super bearish short term, not longer term, but short term. In the interim, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a flush of some sort for the bulls, just because everybody's so bullish. But we'll have to see. I don't know for sure, but I'm kind of feeling like I don't want to say I'm going to double down on something I'm wrong about, because that's like not a good thing to do. I'm going to do it. I think so. I think so. I did buy some oil puts just on Friday, just for kicks and giggles. Giggles and kicks. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, anyway, let's look at XOP. So XOP is potentially forming some people have talked about it head and shoulders here. I had never drawn it in because I don't know, it was a little too perfect for me. So I could see this though coming back down and testing the bottom of this channel that it broke out of, just to fill this gap, but it's so close to this resistance that it wouldn't surprise me at all if it did flash above, and the top resistance here is 107.87. So if XOP gets above 100.43, then the next resistance is 107.87. If it does not, then there are multitudes of gaps to fill below, but we'll have to see. Now, if it does get much above this 76.9, specifically if it closes above it, then I'm going to give up on my idea that this is a larger head and shoulders. So we'll have to see. I'm watching it. Let's look at Nate. Okay, so I do expect that Natty is going to get crazy. Everybody else does too at this point. It's already been crazy. Let's discuss. But I also think that it would screw the most people if it were to appear as if it were going down from here and potentially go all the way down to this 4.52 level, which would be the 50 MA on the daily. And it would be a back test, just a back test, by the way, of this breakout on the weekly. So, and I think that would take a lot of people by surprise. And then we'll see where we go from there. But I'm not actually trading it right now because I'm not cuckoo for coconuts. I mean, maybe intraday I might try something, but I'm not going to, unless I see something very high probability, like, for example, a bounce if we get to here, or a flounce if we get below here, then I'm just not going to take it. And I'm trying not to share it with people because I'm like, I don't want to lead people in the wrong direction. If I'm not super high confident, then, okay, let's look at Joe. All right, so I got this measured move of 77.07. Let's discuss based on the height of this pull before this consolidation started. This is a weekly chart. And so I just took it and from the point that we broke out of right there, and then I drew in the line. Okay, so the next resistance though, as part of this channel strategy that I've been using is 59.87. That's where I see the next sort of, I don't want something I'd rather have it close right on it as opposed to like do one of these deals again because I don't want more consolidation. I don't, I mean, I just want up, right? I just go in the direction I want you to go in. Stop it. Stop doing this. Anyway, it's, the RSI is nowhere near over spot at this point. So it's got plenty of room to come up here and get crazy if it needs to get crazy. But anyway, that's initially what I'm watching is 59.87. And then if it can get above there, I do think that the measured move is 77.07. Okay, that's it. I make myself big. All right. Well, thank you again so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.